Hi and welcome back. Good of you to watch yet another installment of the unboxing Bowie videos by Harold. And today I'm going to unleash the second half of the 2022 discography of Bowie on you. So, where were we? We were about August, September, and then October. It was the 45th anniversary moment for Heroes, and what Parlophone did was they released yet another colored vinyl, and this time it's a gray vinyl and very tasteful little detail here. The Bowie logo is not in red but in black and white only. So Heroes, colored vinyl, interesting for the completist, or if you still haven't got this album, which would be a shame. Then onwards to what always happens approximately a year after the release of a big box. The last big box that we had was Brilliant Adventures in 2021, containing 6 parent albums, and these parent albums are always released separately after about 9 months or something like that. They're called the breakout albums, and also this year this happened. So breakout albums of the 6 parent albums of Brilliant Adventure, that is Black Tie, White Noise, the Buddha of Suburbia, One Outside, Earthling, Hours with some dots before it, and Toy. Well, usually there were 2 differences between the breakout albums and the albums within the box. That is, first of all, the breakout albums were silver plated instead of gold plated, and the other thing was that they were issued in normal diamond boxes, and this time they didn't take the efforts to do that, so these are actually exactly the same as the ones in the box. So for collectors that's not so interesting, but anyway, there you have it. Still very much worthwhile because, for instance, this one is the first time that it's released as a single album separately like this. And obviously these are also released on vinyl, which is even more interesting because bigger is better. Especially because for some albums it's also the first time that they are released on vinyl. Not so much for Black Tie, White Noise. We had an album was called excerpts from this one. It deleted some of the tracks. But the Buddha of Suburbia, first time on vinyl, legally that is. One Outside, the complete album on vinyl, not the first time. Okay. Then Earthling, spread out on 3 sides of 2 discs. This time, first time it was just a 1 disc thing. Hours was already available on vinyl. And then Toy, also for the first time on vinyl, 2 discs, 3 sides. So there you have it. The breakouts, they're heavily expensive, I must say. So if you want to buy them all, you might as well buy the box, because you get some extra material with that for approximately the same amount of money. But that's how it goes these days with vinyl. It's an oil product, so it's very expensive. After these breakouts, Black Friday appeared, and on Black Friday there were 2 interesting issues by Bowie for Bowie files. First of all, the 45th anniversary release of Peace on Earth, Little Drummer Boy. Very interesting is that in the little dialogue that Bowie and Bing Crosby had in the Bing Crosby show before that Bowie said, well, this one's my favorite, but we all know that he really hated Little Drummer Boy, and especially for this show they had to rewrite it with some more lyrics and another melody, which is Peace on Earth. Strangely enough, it's called copyright 1972 on the back, but it was recorded in 1977, so that's 45 years ago. It's on 45 RPM, and it's on sugar candy color vinyl. Hard to come by at this moment, but interesting enough if you can get it. And on B-side is just Bing Crosby singing Wild World of Winter, which appears also to be a very rare track. But I wouldn't know that because I'm not much into Bing Crosby. And the other issue on Record Store Day, Black Friday-ish, was the Next Day EP. And now this is a whole different ballgame, because on this album are 7 tracks on vinyl for the very first time. So for vinyl lovers, this is really not something like a holy grail, but it's very interesting indeed. Because what happened? When Bowie in 2013 suddenly released the album the next day, before that he had recorded a lot of music. He hadn't finished everything, but he had recorded a lot of music and he wanted to do something more with that. So what he did, he finished the other songs. He had some remixes of songs on the next day, and then he released a box called The Next Day Extra. And this Next Day Extra contained the disc with The Next Day, 14 tracks, and 10 other tracks. 3 of those tracks, to make it more complicated, were also on the vinyl version of The Next Day, and they were also on the special edition CD of The Next Day. But in this version you had the normal Next Day, which contained 14 tracks, and the 10 tracks on the extra album. And 3 of those tracks were already on the other tracks. So 7 other tracks, which are on this one, are now also available on vinyl on this EP. They call it an EP, which is ridiculous because it contains 7 tracks, very long tracks. It's in my view, it's a normal LP. It's a normal album, and it contains lovely songs like Atomica and God Bless the Girl, a wonderful remix of Love Is Lost, which is one of the best tracks of The Next Day anyway, and a harpsichord version of I'd Rather Be High, which was in an advert for perfume, I think. So if you can get your hands on this one and you like Bowie and you like his later work, this is really, really, really worthwhile. So, well, when you feel like it, you don't have to do anything. So, on the same day, Record Store Day-ish, Black Friday, also this one was released, Divine Symmetry, 4 CDs and 1 Blu-ray disc, full of tracks leading up to and including Hunky Dory. I already talked about this. I unboxed this one on video. You can find that in the editorials beneath this film. And I must say it is really worthwhile if you are very much into David Bowie. It's a lot of money, but it contains some tracks that were not on Hunky Dory. It contains some of the tracks that are on Hunky Dory in a very different version, early versions, demo versions, and well, in some cases you really don't know what you hear. For instance, Queen Bitch is a very different song altogether on some of the versions that are here. Apart from that, you can also hear that they really picked the right tracks, because there are also tracks on this album that are not on Hunky Dory, and rightly so. Like Bombers, which is really dreadful in my view, and a song like Miss Peculiar, which is nice but not nice enough. So, if you are really, really into Bowie and you find it worthwhile to spend your money on him, this is the one to go to. And then, speaking of things to go to, I already talked about the dramas with the Brilliant Live Adventures albums. Also, you can find that video link in the editorials. But these albums are now available separately, and the box is available separately, like I said, both on CD and on album format. And I must say it's really worthwhile, but I already said that. So that's also released in 2022, so that's why I included in this talk. Well, what can we expect in 2023? At least we know that a vinyl version of Divine Symmetry will be out, but just 1 record containing just 12 tracks. A vinyl version of Moonlit Daydream soundtrack, 3 LPs, and I must say I played the album a few times. It's really very nice. It's very good, interesting remixes, interesting versions, really worthwhile. Probably 50th anniversary Aladdin Sane, 50th anniversary Pinups, maybe 45th anniversary of Stage and Peter and the Wolf, who knows, and on the original colored vinyl or something like that. Maybe, and that would really be a collector's dream, the 1980 Floor Show that David Bowie recorded in October 73, that was broadcast in America once in November 73, and the recordings are there, so I hope they will restore that and also put that out. That would be really grand. And for the rest, we don't know. You never know what kind of surprise there are. Maybe something like this, but then for Ziggy Stardust, also 51 years after the date instead of 50 years, but okay, that's how it goes. And then, if something interesting pops up, I'll be back, no doubt, to unbox it for you and tell a little bit more about the background of it. The background, I mean. So, for now, enjoy the weather, enjoy the music, and God bless.